Hi everyone, it's Friday, July 28th at about 3:35 in the afternoon. And I just thought I'd take a tour of our flower gardens. We did the vegetable garden a couple weeks ago. I thought it was time to do some video of our flower gardens. Start with the garden beside our driveway here. And you can see there's a lot of purple coneflower in bloom. It's kind of a funny story because this garden was really designed to be a garden of annual flowers. And over the years, it's just gradually turned into what's almost more of a perennial garden as these purple coneflowers keep seeding themselves throughout. And I like them, so I let them grow. Really, I should move them to another location and try to reestablish these gardens as an annual garden. You can see the elephant ears going back beside the tree here. These are plants that you have to bring in every year as a big bulb, and then you can put them out in the summer again. They get these huge leaves, hence called elephant ears. Down through the right here are some begonias. Here we have some gooseneck loosestrife in bloom. I'm not sure where this came from. I don't remember planting it, but it seems to be spreading through this garden. This smaller garden beside the driveway needs a lot of work. Not only weeding, but just some other plants have gotten in here that really weren't meant to be here, like all these campanulas growing here. They spread by underground root. And this, I just created this garden last year, mainly as a Hosta garden. There's also some daylilies that have found their way in here. This garden exists beside our garage, and it largely maintains itself sort of as an old country garden, just a large mix of things that I don't really tend very often. It's mainly got Oswego tea or bergamot here all through the garden. We also have some turtle head up front here, although it's not in bloom yet. This bouncing bet is basically just a weed that has come in here, and I've taken a lot of it out, but I keep some of it because it does look kind of nice too. I've got daylilies, hemerocallis, that have just worked their way in here from elsewhere somehow. And then here's another daylily I don't know the name of, but quite an attractive one. Up front here, I plant a group of red salvia that does well here. They get bright sun for a good portion of the day with some afternoon shade. And then up the side, I've got more bergamot or Oswego tea that the hummingbirds really like. This garden I edged with some nice limestone slabs I found in a variety of places a few years ago. This is my Hosta garden, which I profiled a few weeks ago when I was scraping away the mulch and letting the soil breathe. I also added compost, and after the rains came recently, I then added some new compost from a local garden center just to give it a little more finished look. And they're doing great, these hostas. Got a couple giant ones in here, Empress Woo La La and Blue Angel, as well as a number of other varieties. It's doing really well, and a few interspersed begonias planted within just to give some red highlights. This rock garden has a mix of perennial and annual plants. Got a small begonia up front here, and then some dahlias. We also put out each year from tubers. Here's a nice white and red one. It's got quite a range of flower types. This coreopsis has just got a few blooms left, but they'll spread up some more. This is Jethro Tull tick seed. There's a big sedum, autumn joy. This daylily has just come into bloom. It's quite nice. Big flower heads. And then through a lot of this garden, I've got cleomes coming up, or the spider plant. They just seeded themselves from ones I had in here last year. And here's some cleomes in another garden that are already in bloom. So this gives you an idea of what they look like in bloom if you're not familiar with them. Very pretty. So back to the other rock garden again. You can see all these spider plants coming up. I should probably thin them out. Got another purple comb flower here. Here's our row of canna plants that we bring in every year typically. They're just coming into bloom. And some angel wing begonias here scattered throughout at the bottom. These bright yellow and red flowers are Coreopsis tinctoria. It's an annual coreopsis that typically seeds itself, and that's what happened here. I didn't plant any this year. These are just seedlings from seeds that came up from last year. I did plant it out here last year. And they're mingling in here with some speedwell, veronica, these long purple stemmed plants here. Blanket flower here that I just planted. Got it as a bit of a sale a week or so ago at Home Depot. And here's some Shasta daisies. They're mostly finished the first bloom. I'm hoping they'll still put out some more blooms before too long. Back at the other garden again where the cleomes are in bloom. Beside cleomes, I've got a big northern sea oats grass here that's sort of sprawling out to the side now as it's gotten larger. Have some really pretty zinnias in here. Nice yellow heads on them. See down below, I can show you more of those in the next garden, or one of the next gardens. Some gray-headed coneflower here, one of the native coneflowers in northeastern North America. And in the background, purple coneflowers and marigolds. And this bright hot pink plant here is called pink campion. It may be a semi-perennial, but it seeds itself each year and comes up as long as the seeds aren't disturbed too much. You can see on the purple coneflower here we have a great spangled fritillary feeding, it looks like. They love the coneflowers. Several different types of marigolds planted down in here. Unfortunately, I didn't get my Mexican sunflowers growing earlier this year, so I don't have them this year, but I'll have to try and get them again next year. Here's some lavender and another little grouping of marigolds. And I'm not sure about the name of this. We got them on sale as a group of them, and most of them got eaten by the rabbits, but got a few still remaining. More veronica there, purple coneflower, and then a big patch of obedient plant growing in here. They're just starting to bloom. More purple coneflowers. It's hard not to like the purple coneflowers. You can see in the central area here, I've got my big leaf cup coming into bloom now. It's a huge plant and really probably shouldn't be in this garden. It needs a lot of space. I've got it tied up. You can see a little rope going through it there about halfway up, just to keep it more pulled together, because otherwise it splays out and covers all the other plants. But the insects really like its flowers too. Butterflies and hummingbirds, I've even seen at it. And it's one of the native perennials. A Couple similar hydrangea shrubs growing here. I think one of them was called Pinky Winky, and I forget what the other one was called. They turn sort of a pink color, these flower heads, as the summer goes on. They're just coming into bloom now. I've also got a liatris, which is a native perennial here. Also got a couple Kentucky coffee trees, one there and one over here, growing, that I grew from seed and just planted them in here, and they're doing quite well. They seem to be a very tough tree. They just grow really slowly, but they have nice big compound leaves, as you can see here, that provide a nice filtered light underneath. Here are the two lantana plants that I bring in every winter. They're basically a shrub that wouldn't survive here in the winter, but I bring them in, and they tend to go through the winter dropping a lot of their leaves and looking pretty ratty by the time spring comes. But after a few weeks, once you put them out, they liven up and come back into beautiful bloom again. I've had these ones going now for probably 6 or 7 years. Most people would just throw them out or just leave them out and let them die every fall, but I kind of like to see how long I can keep them. I'm not sure how much longer I'll keep these, just because they're getting bigger. But they are beautiful. Hummingbirds and butterflies and other insects really like them, so I like to have some on hand every year. And this is my one other rock garden that I have. Camperdown elm growing here in the right side. And then over here I've got a large mix of different coneflowers, zinnias down here in front of me. These are just annual plants that I put in this year. Different zinnias there. The potentillas are in bloom back here. Up here, this big yellow flower plant is false sunflower, Heliopsis helianthoides, I think it is. Got a red admiral butterfly feeding here. The bergamot has spread in here on its own. I didn't really plant this in here. And we got, again, purple coneflowers, white coneflowers. There's a hummingbird back here at the bergamot. There he is. Look at that. Beautiful. This little coneflower in here is Rudbeckia triloba, which comes in a plain yellow variety, and then this is probably more of a, perhaps a created variety, I'm not sure, with these two colored flowers. This grass here is side oats grama grass, or Bouteloua curtipendula. And you can see here it's the little seed heads grow on one side of the stem, and so it's called side oats grama grass. This end of the garden also has a variety of coneflowers. I believe one of these was called Kismet raspberry, probably this one. I'm not sure what this orangey colored, I think it had an orange in the name, I can't remember exactly. Purple coneflowers, another blanket flower, but this one with yellow in it. Some more liatris or blazing star. And here is an annual, I've got another one out the front garden that I can show. Beautiful little beggar's ticks. We have wild beggar's ticks that grow around here, but they're all yellow flowered. I think we got them at Costco, I'm not sure, but they've been just blooming non-stop. Very pretty. And I got a yellow one out the front that I'll show that's equally amazing in how many flowers it produces and how long it flowers. A few color types, cosmos, and then I got some annual poppies here. These tend to seed themselves each year. We've had these kicking around in our gardens for years now. They're always fun to look at, but they're a bit spindly and hard to get going right sometimes. Here's some Victoria Blue salvia, which is just an annual salvia that I often plant. It looks nice once it gets growing in the summer. Takes the heat well. Got some white swan coneflowers here. And here's these other zinnias I was talking about, like the other ones. Just amazing heads on them. Very peachy or salmon colored heads, multi-petaled. Very nice looking zinnia. And this is that same coneflower that I wasn't sure of the name of. I've just got a few of them. We have some dianthus down here. Some more Victoria Blue. This is the big false sunflower again. And this is the small garden in front of our house. A lot of marigolds planted here. Out in the front, I've got some portulaca in bloom, the pink ones here. And finally, this year, we're getting a good display of our tiger lilies, which for the last few years, we've had all of the buds eaten off by chipmunks. For whatever reason, they don't seem to be here this year or doing it. I have noticed the odd chipmunk in here, but they don't seem to be eating the tiger lilies. Maybe it was just one chipmunk that was doing most of that. And here's the yellow beggar's ticks, yellow and orange, that I mentioned just a few minutes ago. In the other garden, we were looking at the pink versions, and here's a nice yellow and orange, and look at the profusion of flowers. Just amazing, and they've been going like this for a month and a half now or more. And that's the beauty of annuals, is they have a long flowering time compared to most perennials. Little garden in front of our house here. Got a blue angel hosta. This is a kiwi full monty, this hosta. It's a very pretty leafed hosta in the striptease group. And I've got some begonias planted down here, as well as a few nicotianas, which are currently out of bloom now. Anyhow, there's a little rundown of the current state of our flower gardens. They're looking pretty good. I've missed a few plants, as I mentioned earlier. Some came into bloom, and they are like our hollyhocks. They were a really nice bloom, and I just didn't get out to get them when they were still in nice bloom. They've all sort of gone ratty now. Something's been eating their leaves and flowers. I think the Japanese beetles partly, maybe rose chafers and other things. But anyhow, I think they're looking pretty good. And there'll be a few more plants coming into predominant bloom in the next few weeks. Things like phlox, garden phlox, the perennial, and some more of the daylilies, and some of the turtle heads and things like that, and some of the coneflowers. So I may do another video if it looks impressive, or I may just leave it at this for this time of year.